You're not waking up at 3 a.m. by accident, and something is already happening in your brain before your eyes even open. Not after you wake up, but seconds before it happens. Almost like your brain decided to interrupt your sleep on purpose, right in the middle of the night when you should be at your deepest rest. And most people never realize this is even happening because it doesn't feel like something the brain would choose to do. And what's even more confusing is that your body feels exhausted, but your mind suddenly feels awake, like a switch flipped inside your head without warning. Your thoughts start moving faster, even if you were deeply asleep before. You try to relax, but something keeps pulling you back into alertness. And the harder you try to fall asleep again, the more awake you feel, as if your brain is resisting sleep instead of allowing it. And if you've ever woken up at 3 a.m. with your mind racing for no clear reason, feeling like your brain just won't shut off, or lying there for hours unable to fall asleep again, this isn't random, and it's not just insomnia. There's a very specific biological reason behind this pattern. But to see it clearly, you have to look at what your brain is doing in the dark. I'm Dr. Sarah, a sleep medicine specialist with a background in psychiatry, and over the years, I've worked with hundreds of people facing this exact pattern, especially men and women after 40 who suddenly can't sleep the way they used to, people who feel completely exhausted during the day but wired at night, people who just want to sleep through the night again but can't, people who feel like their brain won't shut off no matter how tired they are, and who quietly start wondering if something is wrong with them. They come in describing almost the exact same experience. They tell me they wake up at 3 a.m. with no clear reason. They describe their mind suddenly turning on in the middle of the night. They feel a rush of thoughts even when they were deeply asleep before. They try to relax, but can't fall asleep again. They lie there watching the hours pass while their brain stays alert. And it happens again the next night and the next. Some of them say it feels like their body is tired, but their brain isn't. Others describe it as a kind of internal alertness they can't turn off. Not panic, not exactly anxiety, but something close to it. A subtle activation that keeps them from going back into deep sleep. And the more they notice it, the more frustrating it becomes, because nothing external seems to explain it. It feels like it's coming from inside the brain itself. Most of these people are doing everything they were told would help. They reduce caffeine and avoid screens before bed. They try to relax and follow a consistent nighttime routine. They manage stress as best as they can. They even try supplements or sleep aids at times. And still, they wake up at the same time every night, which slowly turns confusion into frustration. And that's when many of them start blaming themselves. They think maybe it's just stress or overthinking. They assume their mind is the problem. They believe they're somehow failing at sleep. But that assumption is what keeps them stuck, because it points in the wrong direction and ignores what's actually happening underneath. Because this pattern is not random, and it's not just insomnia in the way most people understand it. It's a repeatable biological response happening during the night, a response driven by the brain, not by lack of effort. And once you begin to see that clearly, a completely different explanation starts to emerge, one that changes how you understand waking up at 3 a.m. The issue isn't that you can't sleep, it's that something is interrupting your sleep from the inside, and that something is not random or accidental. It happens at a very specific moment during the night, right when your body is trying to go deeper into rest, right when sleep is supposed to become more restorative. That's when the interruption begins. There's a transition point in your sleep cycle, a moment when your body is ready to shift into deeper stages. Your system slows down and your brain prepares to disconnect. Your muscles relax and your breathing becomes more stable. Everything is moving in the direction of deeper recovery. But then something changes without warning, and that natural descent into deep sleep gets disrupted. Because instead of continuing deeper, your brain suddenly shifts direction. It activates something we call brain alert mode, a subtle but powerful state of internal activation, not enough to fully wake you instantly, but enough to prevent deep sleep from continuing. And once this state begins, everything feels different. Your sleep becomes lighter and more fragile. Your mind becomes more active even without intention. Your body no longer feels fully relaxed, and the deeper stages of sleep stop progressing, as if your brain is holding you at the surface, not allowing you to fully let go. This is why you suddenly wake up at 3 a.m. This is why your brain feels awake before your body does. This is why you experience a racing mind at night, and this is why falling back asleep becomes so difficult. Because your brain is no longer in sleep mode, it is shifted into a state of alertness, even if there's no real danger present. And the most important part is, this shift is not something you consciously control. It's triggered automatically by the brain, driven by signals happening beneath your awareness, signals that tell your brain whether it's safe to stay asleep. And when those signals change, the entire night changes, which leads to the real question most people never ask. Sleep science has identified a very specific internal state, a state that explains why sleep gets interrupted without warning, a state that doesn't feel obvious while it's happening, but changes everything about how your night unfolds. It's named something that most people have never heard before, and once you understand it, the pattern starts to make sense. It's called the neural sleep inhibition response. The neural sleep inhibition response is not a disorder. It's not damage or dysfunction inside the brain. It's a built-in protective mechanism, something your brain activates when it senses instability, even if you are not consciously aware of anything being wrong. Even if your environment feels completely safe, the brain can still interpret subtle signals as a reason to stay alert. Instead of allowing you to drop into deep sleep, the brain activates a low-level defense system, a state designed to keep you partially aware, not fully awake, but not deeply asleep either, right in between those two states, where rest becomes lighter and more fragile, and where interruptions become more likely. In this state, cortisol can begin rising at the wrong time, not during the morning when it's supposed to increase, but in the middle of the night when it should be low. At the same time, the nervous system stays slightly activated, not enough to trigger panic, but enough to prevent full relaxation. And your circadian rhythm starts to lose stability, even if your routine hasn't changed at all. So the brain enters what feels like a protective mode. Not because something dangerous is happening, but because something doesn't feel fully resolved internally. And in response, it chooses vigilance over deep restoration. It prioritizes awareness over recovery. It keeps part of you alert while the rest tries to sleep. And that changes how your entire night plays out. This is not something you feel directly at first. You don't notice cortisol rising or the nervous system activating. What you notice is the result of that shift. Waking up at 3 a.m. without a clear reason, feeling your brain suddenly turn on in the dark, and struggling to fall back asleep afterward. But what's causing that pattern is happening underneath. Here's what actually happens during the night, and it doesn't start when you wake up. It starts much earlier, while you are still asleep, at a point where your body is transitioning deeper, where everything is supposed to slow down even more, and where true restoration is about to begin. That's where the shift quietly begins. You fall asleep, and the first stages unfold normally. Your breathing slows and your muscles begin to release tension. Your brain activity starts to decelerate gradually. Your body prepares to enter deeper sleep cycles. Everything appears to be working the way it should. Nothing feels wrong or interrupted at that point. But beneath that surface, something subtle is changing. At a certain moment, your brain evaluates internal signals, signals related to safety, stability, and internal balance. And if something feels even slightly off, not dangerous, just not fully stable, the brain reacts automatically without asking you. It doesn't wait for your awareness or permission. It shifts into protection mode. That's when the neural sleep inhibition response activates, not as a mistake, but as a built-in reaction. The brain increases alertness just enough to stay aware. It prevents you from going fully into deep sleep. It keeps part of your system active in the background, and it changes the direction of your sleep cycle without you realizing it in the moment. Then suddenly, you wake up at 3 a.m., your eyes open and your brain already feels active. Your thoughts begin moving almost instantly. Your body may feel tired, but your mind is alert. And no matter how still you try to stay, you can't fall back asleep again the way you expect, because your brain is no longer in sleep mode. This isn't happening because you are anxious. It's not just overthinking or stress taking over. It's your brain trying to maintain awareness, trying to stay slightly vigilant during the night. And the more nights this pattern repeats, the more your sleep becomes fragmented and unstable, which leads to a deeper pattern most people never see coming. This becomes even more common after 40, not because something is broken inside you, and not because you suddenly developed insomnia out of nowhere, but because your biology begins to shift in subtle ways, changes that most people are never taught to recognize, changes that affect how your brain manages sleep at night and how sensitive it becomes to internal signals. Your sensitivity to cortisol starts to increase over time, meaning small fluctuations begin to have a stronger effect. Your circadian rhythm becomes more delicate and easier to disrupt, even if your routine looks consistent on the surface. Your nervous system also becomes more reactive at night, more aware of internal changes that used to go unnoticed, and more likely to respond to those changes automatically. So when the neural sleep inhibition response activates, it doesn't need as strong of a trigger as before. It can be activated by smaller imbalances in the system, subtle shifts that you wouldn't consciously detect, but that your brain interprets as a signal to stay alert. And once that response begins, it follows the same pattern, night after night at almost the same time. This is why many people suddenly start waking up at 3 a.m., even if they slept perfectly fine for years before. They find themselves unable to fall back asleep afterward. They feel their brain become alert in the middle of the night, and they lose the ability to sleep through the night naturally without understanding what changed inside their body or why their sleep no longer feels stable. And what makes this more confusing is that nothing obvious seems different in their life. Their habits may be the same or even better than before. They may be trying harder than ever to improve their sleep, but the results don't match the effort they're putting in, which leads to frustration and self-doubt, because the cause is not where they're looking. Because this isn't about doing something wrong, it's about how the brain is interpreting internal signals now, how it decides whether it's safe to stay deeply asleep, and how easily it shifts into alert mode when something feels off. Which brings us to something even more important to understand: what this state actually feels like inside the brain, and why it keeps repeating at the same time every night. Imagine your brain like a night security system, not something you consciously control, but something that is always running in the background, quietly monitoring your internal environment, constantly evaluating whether everything is stable, and deciding if it's safe to fully power down, even while you believe you're simply trying to sleep. When everything feels safe inside your system, that security system gradually powers down. Your brain reduces its level of vigilance, your body moves deeper into restoration, your breathing slows and becomes more consistent, and sleep flows naturally without resistance, as if nothing is interrupting the process. In that state, your brain allows full disconnection. It releases control and lets deeper sleep take over. Your nervous system shifts into true recovery mode. Your body repairs and restores without interference, and you remain asleep through the night without effort because no internal alarms are being triggered. Everything feels stable enough to let go completely. But when something feels even slightly off, even if you're not consciously aware of it, the system doesn't fully power down. It stays partially active in the background, maintaining a level of quiet vigilance, just enough to monitor what's happening and just enough to interrupt deep sleep. That's what the neural sleep inhibition response really is, not a malfunction, but an alert signal, a subtle activation designed to protect you even when there's no real external threat. It keeps your brain from fully disconnecting. It holds you in a lighter, more fragile state of sleep, and it prepares your system to wake if needed. And that's why your brain won't shut off at night, even when your body is completely exhausted, even when you feel like you should be deeply asleep, because part of your brain is still on watch, still scanning, still evaluating, still active. And until that signal is understood and addressed, the cycle continues in ways most people never expect.
Here's the part most people don't realize, and it's the part that changes everything once you see it clearly. This pattern you've been experiencing is not permanent. It's not something you're stuck with for the rest of your life. And it's not a sign that your brain is failing you. It's a temporary state driven by specific internal signals that can shift when the conditions change. Your brain is not broken. It hasn't lost the ability to sleep deeply. It hasn't forgotten how to stay asleep through the night. It's simply responding to what it perceives in the moment, interpreting subtle cues as a reason to stay alert, even when there is no real danger present, and adjusting your sleep accordingly. Right now, your brain is prioritizing awareness over rest, not because it wants to keep you awake, but because it believes it needs to stay partially active. That's what the neural sleep inhibition response is doing, holding you in a lighter state of sleep, preventing full shutdown of alert systems, and keeping your night fragmented without you realizing why. But when those internal signals begin to shift, the brain responds just as automatically in the opposite direction. It reduces that unnecessary alertness. It allows cortisol to stabilize at the right time. It lets the nervous system fully relax again, and it reopens the pathway into deeper sleep without forcing anything to happen. That's when sleep starts to feel different again. You stop waking up in the middle of the night. Your mind stays quiet instead of racing. Your body moves naturally through sleep cycles, and you begin to sleep through the night without interruption. Not because you tried harder, but because the conditions finally support it. But this shift doesn't happen by accident. It depends on restoring very specific biological signals your brain relies on to feel safe during the night, signals that directly influence the neural sleep inhibition response. And until those signals are properly understood, most people keep trying to fix the wrong problem, which leads to the next piece almost no one talks about. The goal isn't to force sleep, and it's not about shutting your brain down artificially, because that approach ignores what's actually happening underneath. The real goal is something much more precise than that. It's helping your brain feel safe enough at night, safe enough to release control instead of holding on, and safe enough to allow sleep to happen naturally again. That means working with your biology instead of against it, supporting the nervous system so it can fully settle at night, allowing melatonin to rise and stabilize without interference, keeping cortisol aligned with its natural timing, and reducing the activation of the neural sleep inhibition response, not by force, but by changing the signals behind it, signals your brain is constantly reading in the background. Because once those signals begin to stabilize, the brain no longer needs to stay in alert mode. It no longer interrupts your sleep at 3 a.m. It no longer keeps your mind active during the night, and it no longer prevents you from falling back asleep. Instead, it allows your natural sleep cycles to continue the way they were always designed to. There are natural, doctor-approved ways to support this process, approaches that don't override your system, but instead guide it back into balance, using specific combinations that support nighttime biology, helping regulate the nervous system gently, supporting melatonin and cortisol in the right rhythm, and easing the neural sleep inhibition response over time. This includes certain nighttime compounds designed for this purpose, not to sedate you or knock you out, but to create the internal conditions your brain responds to, conditions that signal safety instead of alertness, conditions that support staying asleep through the night, and conditions that help your mind remain quiet at 3 a.m., even if that hasn't been your experience recently. If you want to see exactly how this works, I've explained it in the first pinned comment below. Not as a quick fix or instant solution, but as a way to support your brain's natural sleep process in a way that aligns with how your biology actually functions. Because once you understand what your brain needs at night, you start seeing why most solutions never worked before. So if you've been waking up at 3 a.m. and it keeps happening in the same frustrating pattern, feeling like your brain suddenly turns on, feeling like your mind won't shut off no matter what you do, and struggling to sleep through the night consistently, this may be the missing piece you were never shown, the part that finally connects everything together. This is not just insomnia in the way most people describe it, and it's not a simple issue of stress or bad habits. It's not about lacking discipline or doing something wrong. What you're experiencing follows a biological pattern, a pattern driven by how your brain manages safety at night, a pattern shaped by internal signals you don't consciously control, and a pattern that has a very specific name. It's called the neural sleep inhibition response, a built-in mechanism designed to keep part of your brain alert, even when the rest of your body is trying to sleep, even when you feel completely exhausted. It explains why your sleep gets interrupted instead of deepening, and why your brain won't fully let go at night, even when there is no real reason to stay awake. But there's something even more specific happening beneath this, something most people never stop to question. Why it tends to happen at almost the exact same time every night, why so many people wake up between 3 a.m. and 3:30 a.m., why that window feels so consistent and predictable, and why your brain seems to choose that exact moment as if it's following an internal schedule. Because that timing is not random either. It's connected to shifts happening in your biology overnight, subtle changes in cortisol and nervous system activity, moments where the brain becomes more sensitive to imbalance, moments where the neural sleep inhibition response is easier to trigger, and moments that determine whether you stay asleep or wake up. But understanding that requires looking one layer deeper. In the next video, I'm going to break that down step by step and show you what's really triggering that 3 a.m. activation window, what changes inside your brain during that exact time, and why it keeps repeating night after night. Because once you understand that mechanism clearly, staying asleep all night becomes far more predictable in a way most people never realize is possible.